started ringing your bell. Winchester.
We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the goons to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
Here we go again.
Greetings and welcome to the Anadrome. This is Burn Power coming to you again from somewhere in the middle of the world, Tbilisi, Georgia, which could be seen as a center point if you look at it the right way. Halfway between Asia, Europe, not far from Africa, not far from the Middle East. Sorry about Latin America and North America, though. So, anyway, we have a very strange episode for you tonight. We'll be covering what I consider to be the most likeliest songs that were in some way a hit or at least popular in the 1960s. And I consider the 1960s to be the most curious decade and probably some of the greatest music ever came out of that period. But we're not talking about any of the great music, although some of these songs are great. But we're talking about songs that one can't imagine as being hits. One can't imagine being popular. And yet some of these songs were extremely popular and they're like one of a kind. So let's get into that. Before we do, the reminder, you've got to subscribe. I need you. You've got to hit like. The algorithms demand it of you. And I'm playing video clips and music. There's no way on earth, even if I could get money monetized from here in Georgia, which I can't, I still couldn't get any monetization off of this because all the copyrights. So, the only way I can receive any remuneration is from you kindly going down and hitting that PayPal link and making a contribution. And if you give $25 and write the word book, I will send you a copy of my 3 puppet plays called 3 Motions. Okay, let's get into this. This is just going to be a crazy list. But it's not novelty songs. I am not doing novelty songs, although certainly a couple of these songs would fit that category. But that's not the point. If I wanted to do novelty songs, I would take an entirely different track. There were plenty of novelty songs in the 1960s. But novelty songs are not that unique. They're humorous. They tend to hit different technical gags and stuff like this. What we're doing here is songs that you're just saying, really? That was a hit? Like, you just can't even imagine. I mean, try to imagine this even on a Spotify list today. Any of these. So we're going to start off with a very strange song. Let me just play it for you, then I'll describe what you're actually listening to. It's a group called the New Vaudeville Band. It's a group called the New Okay, one more time. Get those V's and B's. It's a group called the New Vaudeville Band. Try saying that quickly. New Vaudeville Band. I've never said it out loud, I don't think. Okay, anyway, it's a group called the New Vaudeville Band, and they're out of England. kind of part of Carnaby Street and the swinging London and stuff like that. But let me just play you the song.
Winchester Cathedral, you're bringing me down. You stood and you watched as my baby left town. You could have done something, but you didn't try. You didn't do nothing. You let her walk by. Now everyone knows just how much I needed that girl. She wouldn't have gone far away if only you'd started ringing your bell. Winchester Cathedral, you're bringing me down. You stood and you watched as my baby left town. Oh, body, oh, down. Oh, body, oh, down. Oh, body, oh, down. Don't down.
Okay, so you're obviously listening to some very antique music, or people making very antique music, including a strange device called a megaphone. A megaphone, this device like this. Now, the megaphone was used and popularized in the 1920s by one Rudy Valley, who was a huge sensation in the 20s. I remember seeing him on television when I was young a few times, and they would always drag him out. He had his megaphone, and he always start off, "Hi-ho, everybody." This was, I guess, a big deal back in the 20s. He also used to wear like a raccoon fur coat. It was all part of this like college life. And the megaphone would often have the name of a university on it. And in fact, they came from colleges, and they were used for cheering and things like that. But now they've adopted it to ironically signal, and in fact, the song is not an old song. They wrote the song Winchester Cathedral. And later, the megaphone would be adopted by Gibby Haynes of the Butthole Surfers, who made the most nightmarish sounds with it, putting it up to a microphone and anyway, you'd have to hear that to believe it. But anyway, this was a huge hit in the 1960s, this 20s retro song. Now, I had another song here originally. It was Whistling Jack Smith's I Was Kaiser Bill's Batman. Not Batman the flying creature, but Batman the servant of the lieutenant or the major or somebody like that, major general as they have in the UK. It's a British term. And the strange thing is, I got blocked by, I had these German clips. They really liked it because it had this oom-pa-pa sound. And it was just this guy whistling. It's even a crazier song. But alas, I got blocked by, you can actually see it over on my Odyssey site. But, so here's the weird thing. This was like really weird but it wasn't isolated. There was a weird 20s and early 30s revival. Not just 20s, but all early 20th century. We will, in fact, have another performer who dips into this same period at the same time. But all during the mid-60s, there was this weird revival going on in music. And in fact, let me play you a few of the songs from this revival. And before I do, let me just list you. I'm not going to play all the songs I list here, but there are so many. I didn't even begin to write them all. I could find 20 or 30 of them. And they were all hits. These were not like off to the side or the fringe. This was hits. This is the 1960s. This is so strange. But, of course, the first song on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles is a retro 20s song. Then you have Lady Madonna by the Beatles, retro 20s. And I see the influence of Music Hall, the British Variety Institution, and Paul McCartney really liked it, I think, much more than the rest of the Beatles. Then you have Hello, Hello by Sopwith Camel. The Sopwith Camel is the name of a World War I flying plane, and this is a total 20s knockoff, which goes along with Snoopy versus the Red Baron by the Royal Guardsmen and two sequels to the song. I just mentioned I Was Kaiser Bill's Batman. The Ballad of Bonnie and Clyde by Georgie Fame. The Brits kind of got all of this stuff mixed up. But I think there was a lot of reasons for the 20s and early 30s revival in popular culture at that time. For one thing, this is when people, the hippies, started going into thrift stores for the first time. Before that, thrift stores were just like, we're just trying to get rid of our clothes and we'll sell them real cheaply. But they were finding these weird costumes from the 1920s and early 30s, and they would start wearing them. One can think of Janis Joplin wearing a strange kind of fashion on the cover of her Pearl album. But it's just crazy stuff. Lady Godiva by Peter and Gordon. Sunny Afternoon and Dead End Street by the Kinks. Mabel, Procol Harum. I Feel Like I'm Fixin' to Die Rag by Country Joe and the Fish, or sometimes just Country Joe himself, as at Woodstock. So you have this anti-Vietnam song buried inside of a 1920s revival piece. Welcome to the 1960s. You Turn Me On, a Brit named Ian Whitcomb, ends up in the Seattle area and produces this song. And it's crazy. Not to mention, or forget, Alabama Song, a Bertolt Brecht, a Kurt Weill piece, from the late 1920s, done by the Doors. And I could go on. Later you have, there's One in the Wall. You have Leo Sayers' Long Tall Glasses. Billy Joel's Piano Man is kind of, these are the later debris of this. And eventually at the end of the 90s, you start to get a kind of cabaret revival and also a American Gothic revival, which kind of dips into this era again, but in a very different way. So let's actually just listen to, I've made a brief 1-minute mix of several of these songs and give you an idea of what this was all about.
Achtung, jetzt wir singen zusammen die Geschichte über den Schweinkopf, den Hund und den lieben Red Baron.
After the turn of the century,
They call me Mellow Yellow.
twang, twang, still.
They call me Mellow Yellow.
Hello, hello, I like your smile.
Well, show me the way to the next whiskey bar.
Bonnie and Clyde were pretty looking people, but I can tell you people, they were the devil's children.
Dead End Street, yeah, Dead End Street, yeah, Dead End Street, yeah, head to my feet, yeah, Dead End Street, yeah, that's my song. Let's go!
Okay, the next one is the kind of hit that And this was a huge hit. It was like number one for weeks. It was a huge hit in 1963 for the Singing Nun, whom in French is called Ce Sourire, and which translates into Sister Smile. And this was 1963, and her name really was Janine Decker. And the song is called Dominique. You may have heard this in the atmosphere at some point. Dominique. But the funny thing, it's about it sounds like a monk who goes around doing good deeds for people. But here's the interesting thing about this, is that this is just a Catholic folk song. And it's very clear. She's a nun, she's singing. How did this get to be a huge hit? I mean, and it was huge. I can't tell you how huge it was. I paid no attention whatsoever to music when this came out. I was about, 7, 8 years old. And somehow it was in the air everywhere. You heard it everywhere. And this continued on into the decade. It just makes no sense. But other people, if they're creating a list of strange hits from the 1960s, they would probably include this one. I've got Stranger Fair. But let's hear a live version of Sur Sourire.
Dominique, Nique, s'en allait tout simplement, routier, pauvre et chantant. En tout chemin, en tout lieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu. Dominique, mon bon père, regarde-nous simples équés pour annoncer à nos frères la vie et la vérité. Dominique, Nique, s'en allait tout simplement, routier, pauvre et chantant. En tout chemin, en tout lieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu.
Okay, let me play you a little bit of this from 1968. I'm sure you recognize that. You may not know the song, but you know it as Classical Gas. It was a huge hit in 1968. That was basically the version that became the hit. However, several months before, in April, a version of the song came out on the Smothers Brothers television show, and there was a visual artist named Dan McLaughlin who put this together with a visual collage of 3,000 paintings. So it's called 3,000 Years of Art. I don't know if it's 3,000 paintings. It's 3,000 Years of Art. Anyways, this kaleidoscopic depiction of art from the very beginning to the end to go with Classical Gas. I think Classical Gas is an amazing song because, and then again, here we have, why is this so strange? It's a Baroque song. I mean, the tune up until the bridge is a Baroque song, and then you have this almost like Victorian era, bridge that comes in there with the trombones and stuff. Now, I'm going to play the entire song, but what we're seeing is this kaleidoscope of art. Now, I remember seeing this live on the Smothers Brothers, and I remember being totally blown away by it. It was just incredible. And I didn't know anything about art. I was just starting to collect the little handbills of the San Francisco Fillmore posters, which were quite the aesthetic experience in themselves. But this was just really fascinating to me. And this guy, Dan McLaughlin, did other of these visual collages that went with music as well. Anyway, let's play the original version of Classical Gas from 1968 from the Smothers Brothers show. Okay, the next song is seriously silly, but it's not trying to be. It's just, well, silly is probably the wrong word. Uncanny Valley? No, because it's definitely human. It's just not. It's something that falls between like kind of folk music, doo-woppy kind of music, and garage music without comfortably sitting in any of them. And it's a group called the New Beats. No one cares. And the song is called Bread and Butter, and it's from 1964. Now, this is one of those songs, the first time you hear it, it's a throwaway. You don't even think about it. And then the more you listen to it, you start noticing some weird elements. One, there's this extremely high-pitched male falsetto in here, singing the kind of dirtiest female sound you could possibly come up with. And then you start listening to what the lyrics are about. And, it's just like, why was he so upset with his wife eating chicken and dumplings? That's all I'm going to tell you. If you listen to the lyrics, they do get strange. It's a very short song. And listen to the dude, Larry, who's got the extremely high-pitched voice. It borders on being eerie. Now we come to the funniest song. And it's meant to be funny. Yes, it is. It's got a really dry sense of humor. Now, this song is kind of a combination of two things. First of all, this group, the Hombres, was a typical garage band. Here's them playing their version of the Them song, Gloria. We'll just listen to that for a moment.
She come around 5'4" from my head to the ground. When she comes around here, it's about midnight. But she looks so good, Lord. I still feel alright. And her name is G.
Now, lots of bands were doing Gloria. Their version actually gets quite long. It's about 6 or 7 minutes long. It gets really psychedelic. This is 1967. And by the way, 67 and 68 is where the bulk of these songs came from. And I think it had something to do with the times. the whole psychedelic thing, the hippie thing, the British invasions, everything seemed to be culminated. Meanwhile, people were saying, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? And this hippie band would say, we could do that. And someone else would say, oh, we could do this weird blues song. And all this very interesting music came out. I would say that 65 through 69 is the height of the 60s era for music. But 68, 67, for me, is the pinnacle, with 66 being the ramp up, and 69 and 70 being the ramp out. But this group was obviously listening to garage rock, and we're a garage rock band from, although they're called the Hombres. They're not from Texas, they're not from Mexico, otherwise they'd be Los Hombres, but they are from Memphis, Tennessee. And they were influenced by something else very weird. There was a musician with a group called Spike Jones and the City Slickers in the 1940s. During the war, they were super popular, and they did all these really funny songs. As a kind of a side project to them, which would occasionally be with them, there was a guy named Red Engel who does this song called Cigarettes and Wusky. Not whiskey, Wusky. So Cigarettes and Wusky. At the beginning of this song, he has this strange, he calls it a preachment, his little sermon. We're going to listen to this whole song because I was just going to play the beginning for the preachment, but I said, no, this song is too great. Then we'll come back to the song we're trying to get to after this. Let's hear Red Engel, Cigarettes, and Wusky, along with other members of Spike Jones' band in a kind of a country jam.
A preachment, dear friends, you're about to receive on John Barleycorn, nicotine, and the temptations of Eve. Oh, once I was happy and had a good wife. I had enough money to last me for life. I met with a gal and we went on a spree. She taught me to smoke and drink whiskey, cigarettes and whiskey and wild, wild women. They'll drive you crazy, they'll drive you insane. Cigarettes and whiskey and wild, wild women. They'll drive you crazy, they'll drive you insane. Cigarettes is a blot on the whole human race. A man is a monkey with one in his face. Here's my definition, believe me, dear brother. A fire on one end, a fool on the t'other. Cigarettes and whiskey and wild, wild women. They'll drive you crazy, they'll drive you insane. Cigarettes and whiskey and wild, wild women. They'll drive you crazy, they'll drive you insane. Oh, brother, repent or they'll write on your grave. 2 women and whiskey, here lies a poor slave. Take warning, dear stranger, take warning, dear friend. They'll write in big letters these words at the end. Cigarettes and whiskey and wild, wild women. They'll drive you crazy, they'll drive you insane. Cigarettes and whiskey and wild, wild women. They'll drive you crazy, they'll drive you insane.
They will drive you insane. So, the Hombres took the backbeat of Gloria, added the preachment of Red Engels, and then added kind of a surrealistic Bob Dylan-y touch, and then did it in this extremely dry Southern sense of humor, with my favorite interjection in any song in history. They just simply at some point just shout out the word leg. They just go leg. It's brilliant. And in fact, if you make it to the end of this video, I want you to write the word leg somewhere in your comment. So anyway, so now let's hear Let It Out by the Hombres. I don't have any images from them on television. I don't think they got very popular. This was a minor hit in 1967, and likewise, all of these songs would have appeared on the charts at some point. So I just put together some footage that I found here and there. Enjoy.
I preach, my dear friends, you're about to receive on John Barleycorn, nicotine, and the temptations of Eve.
No parking by the sewer sign, hot dogs, my razor broke, water dripping up the spout, but I don't care, let it all hang out. Hanging from a pine tree by my knees, sunshine through the shade, nobody knows what it's all about. It's too much, man, let it all hang out. Saw a man walking upside down, my TV's on the blink, made Galileo look like a Boy Scout. Sorry about that, let it all hang out. Sleep all day, drive all night, brain my numb, can't stop now, for sure ain't no doubt, keep an open mind, let it all hang out. Inside a big brown moon, how does that mess your baby up leg? Eating a Reuben sandwich with sauerkraut. Don't stop now, baby, let it all hang out. Let it all hang out. Let it all hang out. Let it all hang out.
This one is kind of strange. Haven't they all been? But this one's really odd musically. There is a group, they were not from San Francisco, but they were across the bay from Berkeley, called Country Joe and the Fish. And yes, they did have more of the radical sensibility of Berkeley, although they were also, shall we say, psychedelic. And they were connected to the hippie scene as well. There was really a division between the Berkeley radical scene and the hippie scene. The hippies really didn't want anything to do with politics, and the radicals were more like didn't want anything to do with the hippies. But this group was a bridge between the two. And now they've got a lot of interesting songs. Their first two albums, but I think the first album is really brilliant. And my favorite piece of music they ever did is called Section 43, and it's an instrumental about 7 minutes long. And it has a lot of the same elements this one does. It's got a bluesy feel, it's got a folksy feel, and then it's got like a Japanese organ feel. And they were influenced by Japanese music. And this one, it's called The Masked Marauder. And it's, I mean, if I was going to put together some sort of weird tribute to spaghetti westerns, or spaghetti westerns mixed with kung fu films or something, this would be great. Or if I was going to make what has never been made, a film about San Francisco in the 60s. I mean, a serious film about the rise of the hippies, or at least something set really in that period. This would be in there along with Section 43. Now, was this a huge hit? No. This was the flip side of Not So Sweet Martha Lorraine, which got up to number 10 in 1967, but the DJs in my area started flipping it over and playing this. And so, yes, indeed, it became popular and extended the life of that other song, Not So Sweet Martha Lorraine, which is also worth hearing. Again, the first album by Country Joe and the Fish. Excellent.
la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Okay, now we're going to go into something which it's harder to explain what this is doing here. This is a song you might have heard. It's often played on classic rock radio and such. It's a song that I think is fading now because it's so hard to place. And like I say, this is not the kind of thing that is going to show up in Spotify. It's not going to be like the Beatles or the Who or Led Zeppelin and show up in that kind of way. Nevertheless, I think this band is quite important, and it's Canned Heat. These guys, this is like a nerd band, if such a word was used at the time. It wasn't. But they were like obsessives over blues music. Bob Haidt, who's the big guy, and Alan Wilson, who's singing the strange kind of falsetto vocal on this piece. Now, this was based on a blues song or two, which I have. They don't sound that similar to this, because this has some other elements that don't show up in the blues. For one thing, this thing is just, it's got a mood to it that's serious. And it's got a mood to it that's kind of weird and creepy at the same time. It's called On the Road Again. It's from 1968. They're playing with blues instruments, guitar, bass, drums, etc. But what they're doing also is, when they recorded their record, and what I'm doing is I'm using the actual recording of the record from Liberty Records. And they use this Indian device, a little stringed instrument called a tambura, which you just kind of flick it and it makes a drone. And so this drone goes all the way through. And in fact, are there two chords in the song? I mean, it might just be one. It's that simple. And yet, between Al Wilson's haunted voice, and he would die a few years later, and Bob Haidt's strange blues harmonica playing, and he would die about a decade and a half later, this is a very strange, haunted sound. It's called On the Road Again, not to be confused with the happy-go-lucky Willie Nelson song of the same name. But it's just, I love this. It's one of these songs I cannot exhaust, because it has this thing. Once it starts, it's just like this kind of serious mood that nothing else has ever had. There's not another song that sounds like this, and that's what makes this so unusual. And yes, it did get into the Billboard charts. It charted certainly in my area, got into the top 10, I think. But there is no immediate footage of them playing this on television or anything like this. They did play this song at Woodstock, but they made it much longer. So what I did is I went in and cobbled and edited the Woodstock footage along with the original recording. So enjoy On the Road Again from 1968 by Canned Heat.
But I'm out on the road again. I'm on the road again. But I'm so tired of crying. But I'm out on the road again. I'm on the road again. I ain't got no woman just to call my special friend. You know, the first time I traveled out in the rain and snow, in the rain and snow. You know, the first time I traveled out in the rain and snow, in the rain and snow. I didn't have no pharaoh, not even no place to go. And my dear mother left me when I was quite young, when I was quite young. And my dear mother left me when I was quite young, when I was quite young. She said, Lord, have mercy on my wicked son. Take a hint from your mama, please. Don't you cry no more. Don't you cry no more. Take a hint from your mama, please. Don't you cry no more. Don't you cry no more. 'Cause it's soon one morning. Down the road I'm gone. But I ain't going down that long old lonesome road all by myself. But I ain't going down that long old lonesome road all by myself. I can't carry you, baby, gonna carry somebody else.
And now, I keep wanting to say this is the craziest song, this is the weirdest song, whatever, because they all are kind of like that. But this next one might be the funniest song if it wasn't also the eeriest song at the same time. I remember turning on Rowan Martin's Laugh-In, which along with the Smothers Brothers were a couple of American variety shows that had quite a few, they pushed edges. And the Rowan Martin's Laugh-In was really weird. For instance, you'd often just get someone coming out and going, suck it to me, suck it to me. Or someone saying, it may be rice wine to you, but it's sake to me. And they had all these puns like that. So, but then one day they had this musician come out, and they just introduced him as Tiny Tim, and then he sang a song called Tiptoe Through the Tulips. This is 1968 also.
Oh, tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe from the garden, by the garden, on the willow tree. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Lady, in flowers we'll stray, we'll keep the showers away, and if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, you'll fall in me and tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Now, having survived that, you probably have no idea what's going on. Neither did anyone else in America at the time, and this song ended up becoming a hit. I remember it on my radio station. His first album became a hit. Later, the novelty value dropped off. Yes, indeed, this is a novelty song. But that weird falsetto of his, I have a version of him doing the Doors' People Are Strange, and he sings with his actual natural voice, which is much more bass and baritone. But he'll then go into this high voice, and guess what? He's not the person with the highest voice. We've got that person coming up next. But he would sing this, and now people would say, oh, he's gay, or oh, he's this. No, people lack imagination, because he is sui generis. He is the only one of his kind. And what he is a person who, from a young age, got absolutely mesmerized by the music on old 78 recordings from the year 1900 to the year 1930, give or take. And so this song was actually from 1929. It was sung by a guy named Nick Lucas, and it was from a film called The Gold Diggers of Broadway. Now, the interesting thing about this film is for many years people thought it was lost, and it is, except there are parts that aren't. This movie was filmed in a strange sort of two-strip Technicolor process. I think it was green and red. And so that's 1930. I think the film came out in 29, but it was a two-strip Technicolor process. And that section was found. And you can find it on the internet, but I'm going to show it to you right now because it's just as strange as Tiny Tim in a very different sort of way. Now, one thing I want to let you know about old sound films, especially with Warner Brothers, which this was, when he is singing, he's live. This is not him dubbing to a recording. That technique hadn't been developed quite yet. So he is actually playing the guitar. He is actually singing. Then there's a cut to a group of women dressed as tulips dancing. Can we say that? And then it ends with him singing again. Now here's the weird thing. You will notice between the clips, there's a blackout in between. And what's happening is the music is continuing. It's all live. There's a small orchestra in the studio. The sound is being blimped off from the stage, and a record is being cut live at that point. And when they block it off, they go to another camera, which is filming the other part live, and then they come back to this one. So they have two cameras set up. It's just fascinating. But the really fascinating thing is you're actually watching a musician from 1929 singing in something approaching color. So let's listen to Nick Lucas's version of Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And the thing about Tiny Tim, he was just an obsessive. And he just loved those songs and those styles. He actually turns out he ended up getting married a couple of times. He was a Christian. He was an odd person. He died right after singing Tiptoe Through the Tulips when he was in his, I think, 60s or so. Anyway, Nick Lucas, inspiration to Tiny Tim. And here's 1929 from the Gold Diggers of Broadway, two-strip color.
Shades of night are creeping, willow trees are weeping, old folks and babies are sleeping. Silver stars are gleaming, all alone I'm scheming to get you out here, my dear. Come tiptoe to the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from your pillow to the shadow of a willow tree, and tiptoe through the tulips with me. In flowers we'll stray, we'll keep the showers away, and if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe to the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from your pillow to the shadow of a willow tree, and tiptoe through the tulips with me. In flowers we'll stray, we'll keep the showers away, and if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Okay, now this is officially the craziest thing. This is
This was, in terms of the 1960s, an all-out assault on the senses. And this became a number one hit. This became a number one hit in so many places across the world. And when you listen to it, you may recognize the song. It does get played every now and then by somebody. But when you listen to this, it knocks you back in your seat. The song is called Fire by The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. That's the full name of the band. I think it's the first band to give itself that kind of a huge phrase as a name. Arthur Brown was a British rock vocalist. Imagine Tom Jones going to hell, playing with the wildest keyboardist imaginable. And, when the album came out, this was also 1968, the amazing year for music, 1968. When the album came out, I got a copy, and I realized that it was a full rock opera. Not quite full. I'd say 2/3 of the album was this trip to hell. We're going to listen to him doing a live version in a room for like some sort of Carnaby Street crowd in England. Him and Vincent Crane doing a version of the prologue. Now, the way it works on the album is you have a prologue, then you have the Nightmare, then you have the Fire song. And I could play you the Nightmare, but I'm probably going to get hit for this anyway. But I just want you to see Arthur Brown performing. So we have footage of him doing the prologue and him doing something approaching a modern video of him doing Fire. So let's start with the prologue in some kind of swanky apartment in London.
Explosions in my brain shatter me to rocks of rain, falling from a yellow sky, orange faces through an opened eye. Stop me, hold me but as I turn. Stop me, voices from all those that were. Don't want to criticize, you know. Eyes can never tell you lies. It's all
perfect.
So yeah, he comes out with fire on his head. That was a standard part of his stage act. He also would get himself lowered on a crane down to the stage, and this wasn't a very professional thing. It was a very weird, creaky kind of crane being lowered onto the stage. But his head would be on fire, and he would dress around in these like kabuki kimono kind of clothes, his weird face paint. Someone said he was both Punch and Judy, screaming at once. In fact, let's listen to a little of him talking and watch a little more material before we get to the actual deed, so to speak.
Cause I'm in your very heart. I put a spell on you, yeah. Because you're mine. Yes, I do. I don't care. You don't want me, cause I'm in your daddy home. I put a spell on you, yeah. Oh Lord, because you're mine.
What's your crazy world? You don't like, do you like people? Or don't you like them?
Yes, yeah, I like people, but like most people are mad, you know?
You like also to terrify people?
No? Well, I mean, it does them good, you know? In certain circumstances. The people who go around saying we're disgusting, it's them who's disgusting inside, you know? It's like a big sewer pipe. Their brains are like a big sewer pipe, you know? They're full of education, full of religious dogma, and they don't know what anything's about. They haven't had the feeling of what the universe is about. They're just going along in their little Volkswagens, in their cars all day, off to work, wash up, get back to bed.
Now, the thing to remember about Arthur Brown is he was there first. I would say the only person who really influences him is Screaming Jay Hawkins. And he does sing I Put a Spell on You. So he's certainly aware of Screaming Jay Hawkins and his act. But he takes it to such dramatic extremes, such theatrical extremes. Now, a lot of people would say, well, this is some sort of, and he points this out, you know, people are disgusted by it because they say it's something from hell. He didn't believe in heaven and hell. He felt, you know, this was all just stuff we created. However, in my mind, when I heard this in 1968, I was in, the next year I was in high school and I was taking a drama class. And so I got, there was a black guy who was in the class with me, and I picked him, and we basically did the words from the Nightmare section. And I had the black guy playing the devil, and I was going to hell. And you can make of that what you want. but I got a good grade for that. And but that's the thing. This really made me think about the nature of justice and judgment, about the devil, about hell, and things like that. A year later, I became a Christian. Did this have an effect? Yeah, some small effect. Not the effect Arthur Brown wanted, but hey, that's how art goes, isn't it? So, now we're going to hear Fire. And I'm just going to be quiet for a moment, and then I'm going to let this just pop out at you. And I can't leave it there. Probably the most uncanny hit of the 1960s was a gospel song, Oh Happy Day, by the Edwin Hawkins Singers from 1967. Originally, they were the Northern California State Youth Choir. And then it was Edwin Hawkins and the Northern California State Youth Choir, and they actually played in the Fillmore under that title. And then they became the Edwin Hawkins Singers. Same group, but they just changed their names. But in 1967, now I remember them playing this. This got to number 1 in my area. This was a global hit. It was big in the Netherlands, big in Germany, places like that. And it really exposed people to these mass choir sounds. Also, the vocals of Dorothy Combs Morrison are just amazing. Interestingly enough, there's not a lot of other music by her in the gospel, and I have maybe about 100, 150 gospel albums, and I never did find a good gospel recording of hers. But of course, she sings here, and this is a brilliant performance by her. And it's a deep performance. Now, I think in this recording, they're singing along to the actual hit. But you need to hear it, and at least see them singing it. And just think about this as being, what a weird time the 60s were. You have the crazy world of Arthur Brown on one side, and on the other side, you have Oh Happy Day. And I'll tell you the truth, there was only one other gospel song that was a huge hit and bigger than this, and that was Mahalia Jackson's Move On Up a Little Higher from the late 40s. And it was a time when people needed that sort of uplift. But that was actually a big hit on the major charts. And then you have to go to Oh Happy Day. And basically there are very, very few gospel songs that are hits in the broader world, which is really a shame, because gospel music has some of the best music in America. So we're going to end with this, and then I'll come back and say my Nakwamdis from Georgia after Oh Happy Day by the Edwin Hawkins Singers from 1967.
Happy day. Oh, a happy day. When Jesus was. Oh, when he was. When Jesus was. He washed my sins away. Lord. Oh, happy day. Oh, a happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, a happy day. When Jesus was. Oh, when he was. When Jesus was. He washed my sins away, Lord. Oh, it's a happy day. Happy day. Oh, a happy day. When Jesus was. Oh, when he was. When Jesus was. He washed my sins away, Lord. Oh, a happy day. happy day. Oh, a happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, a happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, a happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Make a beautiful. Oh, happy day. I don't want to rest. Oh, happy day. I gotta see you. Oh, happy day. Every little game. Oh, happy happy day. Oh, a happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus wore. Oh, when he wore. When Jesus wore. Washed my sins away. Lord. Oh, it's a happy day. Oh, Lord. Good God. Oh, happy day. Oh, yeah. Oh, happy day. Lord. Oh, happy day.
So there you are. Songs that were just unlikely hits. Things that just came out of left and right field, from above and below, from different countries, from different groups of people representing different philosophies and ideas. I think that's why the 60s is so important, because that's not even the music that the 60s is known for. That's just the sideshows. But the main stories in the 60s are even more impressive. And sometime I'll do more on the 60s. Don't you doubt that. Well, from Tbilisi, Georgia, this is Burns saying, remember, subscribe, support, like, all that good stuff. And we will meet each other very soon. Droabit. Nakwamdis from Tbilisi, Georgia.
When I go, I want you to give me 5 minutes. I told you boys I'm no escape artist. For the first time, I like the odds.
At the round earth's imagined corners, blow your trumpets, angels, and arise, arise from death, you numberless infinities of souls.
Why, life is a masquerade party, and we all have our own masks to wear. The rich man pretends he is happy, and the pauper pretends he don't care. But aren't we all of us thatchers? Aren't we all part of the show? We come on the scene without asking, and we leave without wanting to go. Now I tell you, I play the part of a lover, and to you my song may have charm. But the one my heart is singing to is a million miles from my arms. At night, when I'm alone, out comes the mask. I put it on the shelf. I may make the world think I'm merry, but I can't hide the truth for myself. So no matter what happens, I must go on acting, acting, acting. The Apollo shall laugh, clown laugh.